I'm Christelle from Diabetes Strong. In this video, we'll be discussing whether food and exercise can help cure type 2 diabetes, or said differently, whether food and exercise can help your blood sugar levels return to non-diabetic levels. Because at this point, we know that type 2 diabetes never goes away. So even if your blood sugar levels have returned to non-diabetic levels, you still have to pay attention or your blood sugars can start to creep up again. I write a lot about diabetes and I do a ton of research, but for this video, I still wanted to invite an expert. And I am super happy to say that Ben Tzeel will be joining me in this video. Ben is a registered dietitian, he's a strength coach, and he's the man behind Your Diabetes Insider. Ben, say hi.
What's going on, Christelle? It is so great to be here. My name is Ben Tzeel. I'm a registered dietitian, strength coach, and I have lived with diabetes myself for over 20 years, 23 to be exact, which is kind of wild. And I've been supporting people living with diabetes through nutrition and exercise and blood sugar tips for about 6 years now, which is also kind of crazy. So super excited to be here and getting to talk about all things diabetes. Let's go.
Let's start by talking about pre-diabetes as well as type 2 diabetes. Ben, can you explain to us what exactly does that mean?
So to start talking about type 2 diabetes and pre-diabetes, we have to first start with insulin. So if you're not familiar with what insulin is a hormone in the body produced by the pancreas, which produces other hormones as well. But in the case of insulin, it is critical because when your body consumes food, especially carbohydrates, it tells the pancreas, hey, there's carbs here, which carbs are converted into glucose, a type of carbohydrate or sugar. And when it gets that signal, it says, I'm going to secrete some insulin. And why the insulin is important is the insulin is what allows us to transfer that glucose into the cells to be able to be used as energy. When it comes to pre-diabetes, what ends up happening is the body's insulin needs are not able to be met. There's likely a ton of different factors that can contribute to that, but basically the demands cannot be met. So the body's asking for insulin and ultimately is not getting enough. So what ends up happening is there's extra sugar, there's extra glucose sitting in the bloodstream that has not gone into the cells yet, which is why your blood sugar levels may be a little bit higher. If you've gone to your doctor, if they've ever talked about, oh, we checked your hemoglobin A1C, that's basically a marker for how much extra glucose is sitting in your blood over the past 3 months on average, and that will be a little bit elevated if there's extra glucose just sitting around. When it becomes full-blown type 2 diabetes is when your A1C crosses a certain threshold. So basically, when your body is unable to produce the right amount of insulin to be able to meet the body's demands for a long enough period of time. So the demands are far too high on the insulin, it's not able to meet the demand, and suddenly your body says, well, I can't do that, I'm doing the best I can, and it starts to basically burn out the pancreas a little bit, and it can't keep up.
When diagnosed with pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes, I find a lot of people are just sent home with very vague guidance in the sense that they're just told to exercise more and eat differently. That, in my opinion, is not really helpful. It doesn't tell you why are we supposed to do these things or how. So let's start with the why. Ben, can you explain a little bit more about what is it that changing up our diet and exercise patterns can do for our blood sugars?
Make a great point where people are just told, hey, eat better, exercise better, and this will all go away. And if only it were so simple, right? The big thing is why those are the two most emphasized areas, the activity as well as the food, are because both can do two main things. Number one, the two of them together can lead to potential weight loss. And why weight loss is so important in the case of diabetes is a lot of times, especially within type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, is that extra weight can get in the way of the insulin signaling. So in a perfect world, if somebody who has type 2 diabetes or has pre-diabetes is able to lose a little bit of weight, that insulin need, that demand that is there ultimately goes down a little bit. And so if that demand goes down because the person lost weight, say 10, 20, 30 pounds, however much it might be in that person's situation, then the insulin can suddenly meet the demand again. And as a result, theoretically, everything can go back towards normal again, which is why it's so important to really stay on top of the nutrition as well as the exercise. Now, on the flip side, the other thing that it can do, especially on the exercise front, is increase insulin sensitivity. So remember I mentioned insulin before when I said, hey, you eat food, your pancreas secretes insulin, it allows you to move that glucose into the cell. Well, when your body starts to be active, when it starts to exercise, what ends up happening is there's another mechanism. It's like a back door to be able to take glucose up into the cell. And this happens when you're moving, whether you're going going for a walk, lifting weights, playing basketball, whatever you want to do. And it takes glucose into the cell through an alternate way. So you're not only clearing glucose out of the blood, which is great, but you're also boosting your sensitivity. You're increasing your body's ability to be able to take in the extra glucose, which then improves the blood sugar as well as remains elevated for hours after. So it might not just benefit you right now while you're doing that activity, but it might benefit you up to 72 hours later, 3 full days later, which is kind of awesome. And as a result, can bring down that blood sugar level, which can ultimately improve how you're feeling and ultimately improve the situation with your prediabetes or type 2 diabetes.
Okay, so if changing habits is that desirable, can it actually help reduce blood sugar levels down to non-diabetic levels?
Absolutely. If changing the habits is so helpful and helps with the blood sugars to become reduced, they can end up at non-diabetic levels. They absolutely can, through the weight loss from eating better and exercising more, through the increase in insulin sensitivity. There's so many different things that can happen that are really beneficial, and some people may end up completely not needing any sort of medication. And when you hear of people completely reversing their type 2 diabetes or their prediabetes, this is the example where someone says, hey, I'm really committed. I'm going to start exercising consistently. I'm going to start changing how I'm eating and improve the composition of what I eat, both of which will contribute to the weight loss and the insulin sensitivity improvement. And then suddenly they don't require any medication. Now, I'm not going to say that's a guarantee because I don't know every person's situation, and some people will still require medication. Of course, it's up to them and their care team to ultimately determine what's the best mode of action for them. What I can say is most of the time, people will see improvements in how they're feeling. People will see improvements in potentially taking fewer medications, if not completely getting rid of them. And the blood sugars coming down is going to lead to a lot better long-term health outcomes.
Thank you for that, Ben. So it's not as black and white as some people would claim it to be. But I do understand that eating a varied diet and exercising are good steps that anyone can take to improve their health. But let's get a little bit more practical here. And Ben, let's start with nutrition. What are 3 things that people can do to improve their health with the goal of reaching non-diabetic blood sugar levels?
All right, so 3 things that people right now living with type 2 diabetes or prediabetes can do. So first one, for sure, is going to be increasing total protein intake. So this can be as simple as really just making sure every meal that you have has some sort of substantial protein source associated with it. You don't have to attach a number of grams in particular, but if it were me, I would say at least, 20, 25, 30 grams of protein per meal, because that will, number 1, stabilize blood sugars post-meal. Number 2, it will also help with improving body composition and potentially promoting weight loss. And then number 3, it will also improve satiety, which means helping you feel fuller for longer. The second thing I would do is I would consider decreasing the amount of refined carbohydrates. And by refined carbohydrates, think of the things that would spike your blood sugar really quickly. Think of the candies, think of the sugary cereals, think of soda, things like that that have sugar as a top ingredient. Maybe it's brown sugar, maybe it's molasses, maybe it's some sort of sugar ending in ose, so OSE means sugar. So finding a food that has that as one of the top 3 or 4 ingredients is likely going to spike your blood sugar pretty quickly. So by reducing the amount of those that you're having within your diet, well then you're not putting as much stress on your pancreas. Your blood sugars ideally aren't spiking quite as quickly. And then you're also then substituting those with potentially some more whole grain types of options, some options that may be more complex carbs or more fibrous carbs that won't spike blood sugars nearly as fast. Third, and this one, the dietitian in me is coming out, but I've got to share it, would be improving on the vegetable side of things as well as the fruit side of things. And before you think, wait, fruit and diabetes, is that okay? Absolutely yes. I'm not telling you to go pick the most high glycemic fruits that are going to spike blood sugars immediately, for example, pineapples. But if you're saying, hey, I'm going to increase the number of servings of berries that I get, or the amount of apples that I get, or the veggies that I get, the cauliflower, the broccoli, zucchini, whatever ones you want. First of all, there's a ton of fun ways to make them where they taste amazing. But second, the amount of fiber they're contributing is going to help prevent the blood sugars from spiking nearly as high post-meal, will also help keep you fuller, which ideally can help promote weight loss too. And finally, they also have all of those micronutrients as well. So the vitamins, the minerals, and those things do add up and can really help with overall health and filling in gaps so you're not reliant on a multivitamin or a greens powder or something like that. It really helps improve the nutrition quality.
Thank you, Ben. And now let's focus on exercise. Can you also give us 3 things that people can implement to help improve their blood sugars? And for now, let's focus on people who are just starting out.
All right, with exercise, 3 things that people can do right now. Number 1 would be pick something that you like, or just try a ton of different things until you find one that you like. Because from an activity standpoint, I, for one, do not like running. But if you told me, hey, you want to lift some weights, I would be totally about that. Versus someone else may say, hey, I love running, or hey, I love going to Zumba, or I love doing dance classes, or I love playing basketball. So try a bunch of different things and pick 2 or 3 that you really enjoy, because if you don't really enjoy them, they're going to be really hard to stick to on a regular basis. 2 is going to be schedule them into your calendar. I just had a conversation with someone the other day about this, and the biggest key is if it's in your calendar, it's an appointment with yourself. Think about it. If you had a doctor's appointment, or you had a massage, or you had some other sort of appointment, someone maybe was coming to your home to go talk about counters or windows or something, you would block that off on the calendar. Same thing with this. Be unapologetic. Put the time in your calendar. Maybe it's 20 minutes, maybe it's 40 minutes, maybe it's an hour, whatever time that you think is reasonable for you. And then at that point, you've got it set, you know you can stick to it, it's already carved into your day. And then when the time comes, go just do it. Number 3 would be, if you can, try to do something that requires some strength training as well. And why I say this is strength training is so important when it comes to diabetes, both types, but the improvement in insulin sensitivity has been shown in the research to last for up to 72 hours. That's a really long time from the benefits of 1 session of strength training. And the second thing is it also improves your bone mineral density, which is extremely important to make sure your bones remain healthy, especially as you age. And also building that extra muscle is important because muscle improves insulin sensitivity long term. So that 72 hours is great. You train on a Monday, you're getting the benefits through Thursday, but by increasing strength overall, you're not just seeing the benefits Monday to Thursday, you're also seeing them for days and weeks to come after that, which is huge from a long-term health perspective. And you know, it's always fun to be able to get a little bit stronger and challenge yourself too, and I'm sure that doesn't exactly hurt.
Awesome, Ben. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk all this through with us. And guys, if you want to find Ben, if you want to learn more about how he works with people living with diabetes, you can find him on his website. You can also find him here on YouTube, Instagram, as well as TikTok. Ben is a busy guy, so you can find him on most social media platforms. I will leave links down in the video description.
Thank you so much, Christelle, for having me. I'm so excited we got to do this, and let's definitely chat again soon.
So again, thank you, Ben, and to all of you watching, if you like this video, please give it a like below. Also, if you enjoy my content, if you'd like to see more from me, remember to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications. That is that little bell. That way you'll be informed whenever I post new content. Thank you so much for watching.